6 on Twitter to keep informed with the latest happening near you.
From the station that's on your side, this is News 12, First at 5.
Just into our newsroom, first at 5 in the last half hour. The Aiken County Coroner's Office says it's investigating the drowning death of a 1-year-old in Trenton. 1 year old. It happened yesterday at Carolina Bay Park on Price Avenue in Aiken. Officials say that's where they were called after a mother reportedly fell into a pond with her child. We're told the child, Paisley Hyatt, will be autopsied tomorrow. The Coroner's Office, the Aiken Department of Public Safety, and SLED are all investigating. Also, first at 5, we now know the name of a man killed in a camper van fire in Columbia County. The coroner's office tells us it was 63-year-old William Andrews. He died yesterday morning after a camper van exploded at the Pilot at Jimmy Dias Parkway in I-20. Witnesses say they saw Williams fill the van up with gas shortly before it burst into flames. We're learning Williams is from Grovetown and has 3 children. Authorities say they are still working to determine the cause of that fire. It is getting busy in Augusta between the women's amateur this week and the Masters tournament next week. We're expecting to see thousands of visitors come through the city over the next couple of weeks. While our local businesses get ready to take on more customers, we're finding a lot of them are facing the same problem: a lack of employees. News 12's Wrdw joins us now live from Washington Road. And Will, with unemployment being such a big problem, you would think job openings would get snatched up left and right. But what are you finding?
Well, Meredith, I'm finding that I spoke with several of these businesses, and they say that that's just simply not the case. You can see there's a heavy flow of traffic, and that generally means more customers for a lot of our local businesses. They say this is something they've been waiting for almost a year now, and they're saying that they're not getting the relief they need, and they don't have that kind of support for all of this traffic. You can see that the blooming flowers across town can only mean one thing. It's almost Masters Week here in Augusta, and for many of our local businesses, that means more customers, and more importantly, it's relief now that this year's tournament has limited patrons. The problem is these businesses don't have enough employees. We spoke with several who say they haven't seen anything like this before. According to a local workforce study, there is nearly 500,000 potential working adults in the CSRA, but only half or more are employed. Village Europa says without these employees over the next few weeks, it could hurt business even more.
I'm working shorthanded, and it's tough. And when you work shorthanded, you're not able to wait on the guest as well, and they may not come back because of that. So it's a double-edged sword.
Coming up at 6 o'clock, we hear from a local business recruiter on how he can't even find anyone on the job hunt right now. Meredith?
All right, thanks for that, Will. A busy time, getting even busier as the days and weeks go on. Thanks for that. More news ahead, but first, a live look over the medical district. Want to take a look outside? Actually, we don't have that camera for us, but we will check in with meteorologist Mikkel Hannah-Harding. What is it looking like out there? I see the Doppler behind you and a little bit of green.
That's right. If we were to take a look at the medical district, I bet my money that there's some clouds outside. We've seen clouds all day today across the CSRA, and those clouds will continue to stick around as we do head towards tonight and into tomorrow morning as well. Tracking a few light showers across the region right now. Nothing too concerning, but we do find some pockets of light to moderate rainfall just southeast of Wagner to the north of Sally in eastern Aiken County, sliding down towards parts of Allendale County, even Barnwell and Bamberg, just outside of the viewing area. Hampton getting in on some light to moderate rainfall, and even a pocket of heavier rainfall just to the north of downtown Hampton right now. Your power planner for this evening showing that those temperatures will stay in the 60s as we continue on towards about 4 a.m. We could see some of our spots in the northern CSRA drop down towards the upper 50s before tomorrow. Just about everyone waking up near 60 around the CSRA, so a cool to mild feel as you do wake up tomorrow morning. We're tracking the threat for some stronger to severe storms tomorrow afternoon, and we'll talk more about that coming up in just a bit.
All right, thanks, Mikkel. Starting tomorrow, anyone 16 and older in South Carolina will be able to sign up for a Covid19 vaccine. Top health leaders say with more doses coming in and demand dying down, it is time to open appointments up to more people. DHEC telling us once eligibility expands tomorrow, they expect demand to start off strong, but die down as time goes on. They say the state is ready for the rush and is trying to meet demands.
will be as ready as we can be for this, in that there's more vaccine on the shelves, more vaccine going to providers, but there will be probably much like 1B when we opened up for 1B, in that there will be a period of time, a couple weeks or so. I think only time will tell as to how long exactly that will last.
So it pays to be patient. Georgia already offering up vaccines to those 16 and older. A reminder, 16 and 17-year-olds are only eligible for the Pfizer vaccine. The Moderna and Johnson & Johnson vaccines are for those 18 and older. If you want to get vaccinated, there's a couple of clinics to tell you about on both sides of the river this week. Tomorrow, Aiken Regional will be administering doses over at the USC Aiken Students Activity Center. They'll be offering more than 1,000 first doses of the Moderna vaccine from 8 a.m. until 4. You can sign up at vans.cdc.gov. Of course, we will put that info for you on our website. Walk-ins, by the way, are welcome, so you don't have to have an appointment. On the Georgia side, AU Health has a clinic happening Thursday at its Washington Square site. To sign up, just head on over to augustahealth.org. U.S. Senator John Ossoff at 8 o'clock. The murder trial for former Minneapolis police officer Derek Shovin picked back up for a second day today. Jurors heard testimony from several witnesses, including the teenager, the one who shot the cell phone video of that deadly arrest. Michael George has the latest for us from Minneapolis.
It's been nights. I stayed up, apologizing to George Floyd for not doing more.
Appearing off camera, a now 18-year-old Darnella Frazier gave powerful testimony about the day she recorded the viral video of former police officer Derek Chauvin kneeling on the neck of George Floyd.
He just stared at us, looked at us. He had like this cold look, heartless. He didn't care.
Defense attorney Eric Nelson questioned Frazier about the actions of the bystanders.
The volume of the people that were bystanders grew louder over time. Would you agree with that?
Yes, more so as he was becoming more unresponsive.
Frazier's 9-year-old cousin was standing beside her as the incident unfolded last May.
I was sad and kind of mad because it felt like he was stopping his breathing and it's kind of like hurting him.
It's been 10 months since George Floyd's death. Here in Minneapolis, many say watching the trial and hearing the testimony of the witnesses has reopened the wounds from that day.
I think about it every single day.
Pastor William Seth Martin leads a multi-ethnic congregation in South Minneapolis. He believes justice can help heal the community.
My wife, as we watched the trial yesterday for the first time, it was the first time I saw her cry about it, actually in a while. And it stirred up those raw emotions.
The defense maintains Floyd's death was the result of drug abuse and an underlying heart condition, and has defended Chauvin's use of force. Michael George, CBS News, Minneapolis.
If convicted of second-degree murder, Chauvin faces up to 40 years in prison. He faces up to 25 years if convicted of third-degree murder, and then up to 10 years if convicted of second-degree manslaughter. Georgia lawmakers have passed a bill to loosen the state's gun laws. If signed, that measure would allow any person with a concealed weapons permit from any state to carry their gun, while the current law only allows for concealed carry licenses issued by the state of Georgia. State senators voted 34 to 18 in favor of that change. It now heads back to the House for more debate. Also moving through the legislature, a bill to give some Georgia teachers some extra cash. Under the bill, educators who agree to work in rural or low-performing schools could get an extra $3,000 a year for 5 years. Here's how it works. It would create a tax credit for up to 1,000 teachers who agree to work in special targeted districts. If teachers did not incur $3,000 in state income tax liability, the state would send a check for the remaining amount. All 50 state senators voted to pass the bill, sending it back to the House. In South Carolina, you might be used to eating oysters year-round, but a new bill is looking to stop people from harvesting them out of season. It comes as more floating cages are popping up in areas with high boat traffic. Some say they're dangerous for boats. Others say they're necessary to keep the oyster industry alive. The representative sponsoring the bill says it's not final yet, and she hopes the two sides can reach some sort of compromise. The Shepherd Community Blood Center needs your help donating blood, and there's something in store for you if you do. Anyone who donates blood at the center's blood give-in on Thursday will get one free movie ticket to the Augusta Regal Theater. There's Chick-fil-A and Girl Scout cookies in this picture too, so if you get there early enough, you can definitely turn it into a fun experience. All happening at the First Baptist Church of Augusta. The drive gets started at 11. It lasts until 7 o'clock. If you can't make it Thursday, all Shepherd Blood Centers will be giving prizes to anyone who donates any day next week. Talk about a sweet surprise. Check this out. Girl Scout cookies getting delivered to medical staff today. This was the scene at Craig Houghton Elementary, where they have a vaccination site set up. It was all just to say thanks and to show appreciation for the healthcare heroes in our community. And Girl Scout cookies are a very welcome thank you. Don't they say, Mikkel, the way to someone's heart is through their stomach?
That's right. I've heard that all my life growing up, and I know that is one way to get to my heart. But we are tracking some storms tomorrow, as well as some cooler temperatures behind that cold front, downright cold as we head towards the weekend. We'll talk more about that in just a bit.
Plus, there's no question women and girls can save the world, but their journey to hero status, well, it was a long one. We'll take a look back at the history next. It's the most deadly cancer for men and women in the two states.
My own dad died of lung cancer.
And the I-Team found our local survival rates are all below average. New changes coming to screenings that could save your life. Thursday on News 12 at 6 o'clock.
At C&T Foundations, we believe in giving.
Supporting, giving. It's who we are.
We're wrapping up Women's History Month, where we've recognized female leaders in sports, politics, business, entertainment, and more. But today we're focusing on heroes in a different field, comic books. Vladimir Duthier gives us a closer look at the obstacles women in the comic book world have faced on and off the page.
Today, there's no question that heroic women and supergirls saved the world. But the origin story of the screen's mightiest heroines like Jean Grey and Okoye started nearly a century ago on the page. When you see stuff like this, it brings back memories.
Wonder Woman, Mary Marvel, who was Captain Marvel's sister, and Sheena, Queen of the Jungle. There were great comics for girls and women in those days.
Her historian, Trina Robbins, has spent the last decades chronicling the overlooked women of the comic book world.
The early comics were in newspapers, and everyone read newspapers, men, women, and kids. So they were for everyone. Nell Brinkley did a strip in 1928 in which a woman fantasizes running for president, and women had just gotten the vote 8 years earlier. What happened in the 30s was comic books. It wasn't until comics appeared in comic books that it became a boys' club.
Are you saying that after Superman was seen in Action Comics, that sort of changed the game?
Yeah, everyone had a superhero, and the superheroes had girlfriends, and sometimes they had a female sidekick, but they were never the heroes themselves, with the exception of Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman! Yes, Wonder Woman. Amazonian warrior princess, first published in 1941 as a comic book run surpassed only by Batman and Superman. But even she couldn't break away from the widespread sexism of the industry. So how did female heroines make the leap from damsels of the Golden Age?
I don't believe it.
Believe it.
According to Robbins, it's thanks to an iconic Japanese import.
Sailor Moon. Everyone loved Sailor Moon. And it was about girls having adventures. And suddenly, girls, and some women, including me, who had found nothing that they wanted to read, were finding comics to read.
I love those strong, warrior women, those fighters, because those are the women I came from. I didn't come from damsels, So to see fainting and things like that and being overwhelmed, that's not even real life. That's because the women that I know come hard.
There are more women drawing comics now, creating comics, than ever before. It's really beyond my wildest dreams.
I'm really excited with the direction that we're moving in, and I think we are going to get better stories for it.
The two women interviewed in that story are a big part of history. Ariel Johnson is the first African-American woman to own a comic book shop on the East Coast, and Trina Robbins, she's the first woman to ever draw Wonder Woman in her own comic book. Pretty cool stuff there. Taking a look outside, Mikhail, there's clouds, and it's just not exactly the clear blue sky day that we had yesterday.
Unfortunately not, Laura. We saw a lot more clouds across the area today in comparison with yesterday, but those temperatures were still pretty seasonal for this time of year, springtime, so we saw temperatures in the lower 70s around the CSRA. We are now tracking a warm front that is beginning to lift through the area. That'll provide us with more moisture and also some warmer air going into tonight and then also into your day tomorrow, but that warm front also triggering some isolated showers around the CSRA. Some of our southern counties saw that moderate to light rainfall. Even around the Augusta metro, we saw a few sprinkles. You can see most of that rainfall now east of the CSRA or just in some of our extreme eastern counties around the viewing area. But as you head out the door tonight, we'll keep the chance for those isolated showers through about midnight, maybe even after midnight, but most of us should stay on the drier side. Those temperatures will be pretty cool to mild as we do keep those temperatures near 60 as you wake up tomorrow morning. And we could be looking at some dense fog in some areas tomorrow as you do wake up as well. Your hour-by-hour forecast going into tonight, we'll see those temperatures hovering in the upper 60s as we go towards midnight, and then waking up near 60 for our day tomorrow, maybe some upper 50s in some of our northern counties. As we head towards midday, most of us do look to stay dry for the earlier part of your Wednesday, so that storm threat really coming in tomorrow afternoon as that cold front does continue to move towards our area. And check out those high temperatures tomorrow. We could be in the low to mid 80s around the CSRA as we'll be in the warm sector of our next system making its way towards our area. Our main severe threat is off to the west of the CSRA, but we do have that level 1 risk across our area. But you can see the model really picking up on some heavier showers and storms west of the CSRA, and then going towards tomorrow night, we'll keep the chance for those showers around the CSRA going towards about midnight, and then things do look to dry out as we head into your Thursday morning. Those temperatures will be on the cooler side, and your day on Thursday only in the upper 50s to lower 60s. Now look at that risk for tomorrow. Again, we do have that level 1 marginal risk. The main threat for tomorrow will be those gusty winds around the CSRA, and a look at those risk categories that we do have for severe weather, and you can see we do fall in that marginal risk where we have the threat for those isolated stronger to severe storms. They could have those winds between 40 to 60 miles per hour, but just not too concerned about any large hail, and that tornado threat is on the lower side for tomorrow. So all good news there, just watching out for some gusty winds with some of those stronger to severe storms tomorrow. But looking ahead towards Thursday, we do cool down significantly behind that cold front. We'll keep things breezy as well. Check out those low temperatures Thursday night and Friday. We could be looking at those freezing conditions as you wake up for your Friday morning and your Saturday morning, but things do look beautiful as we head towards next week. Those temperatures back in the 70s.
All right, thanks, Mikhail. Coming up next, we take a closer look at how the military tracks the latest weather threats from right here in Georgia.
Well, let me tell you what happened to me.
All is free, the consultation is free, and you pay us nothing until we win for you.
Every branch of the military has specialized units. For instance, here in Augusta, we have Fort Gordon, which specializes in cybersecurity. Meanwhile, in Savannah, one of the Air Force units based there, Hunter Army Airfield in Fort Stewart, they help forecast for troops. This is pretty cool, and Jamie Erdl shows us how it's done.
Take a look at this funnel cloud over Wynn Army Airfield March 18th.
They saw a significant rotation at the lowest levels of the radar. From there, we issued our tornado warning, which is specific for Fort Stewart.
Major Blake Hamilton is just one of roughly 50 SWOs, or staff weather officers, stationed between Hunter and Stewart. That's 100 eyes and ears making sure our soldiers and airmen are safe from any weather.
We have so many SWOs, so we can embed into the different brigades and battalions to provide a competitive advantage for 3ID and its support agencies against its adversaries.
Weather officers forecast here and when they deploy overseas.
I'm a huge history buff, so I love reading about the D-Day weather forecast and how that changed history.
Senior Master Sergeant Jeff Williams has been forecasting for the Air Force for 19 years. He knows weather can impact any mission.
I definitely think that what we do may play a role in the shaping of our country under certain circumstances.
Above deployments, Major Hamilton admits it's tough forecasting tornadoes in this part of the coastal empire. Prime example, a tornado on Fort Stewart in 2016.
Sometimes you can maybe see a sense of helplessness if you know that the storm is going right for them and there's just not enough time for them to move, particularly if they're in a building. Buildings don't necessarily stand up to all tornadoes, We've seen that with several recent storms.
The signals from the two radars that cover the coastal empire and low country cannot follow the curvature of the Earth, so by the time the straight line signal is searching the skies over Fort Stewart, it's just too high to pick up low altitude events, making all those eyes and ears on the ground
Is this Section 3?
imperative. With the 18th Combat Weather Squadron on Fort Stewart,
When you really nail a forecast and you get those people out of harm's way, it's definitely pride.
And you know a little something about that, Mikhail. Officials on Fort Stewart say nailing a forecast, getting people out of harm's way, is something they take pride in. And a lot of people, it's why they got into the job in the first place.
Definitely, when it comes to those military operations, it's very important to know what the weather is, because weather can, of course, make a big hindrance on any military operations that they may be trying to do. So really cool to see how important weather is for the military. We're looking at those weather headlines around the CSRA. Things will be changing over the next few days, but our main concern right now is the threat for those stronger to severe storms tomorrow. We'll talk more about that in just a bit. Well, as we do monitor the threat for some severe weather tomorrow, it's a good time to download our First Alert weather app. You'll have the latest severe weather alerts, the interactive radar, and also hour-by-hour forecasts, as well as those video updates and notifications as we continue to keep you updated on that threat for tomorrow. Once that front does move through, we are tracking breezy conditions behind the front and even some colder temperatures as we do head towards Friday. But the 7-day forecast looking beautiful as we head towards next weekend. Be sure to keep it here. First at 5 continues in just a bit.
News 1226.